Assalamu alaikum dear students. Welcome to the course of International Relations for undergraduate classes conducted by ComSet Institute of Information Technology, Virtual Campus Islamabad. Today we will be starting a new unit. Before we continue, let's have a review of our previous lecture, which name was International Law. International Law में हमने इसका definition और concept किया. And we discussed that by international law we means a set of rules, a set of guidelines, a set of principles which are observed by the states in governing their relations at international level. Then we discussed the need and importance of international law, and the need or the importance of international law, which is also the role of international law, is that it helps in regulating peaceful relations between states. It also helped in preventing the use of force. It tried to solve the problems on the international level through the guidelines set by the international law. It also protects the rights of individuals, the right of states, and the rights of different types of organization. It also helped in regulating the use of natural resources and the trade and business activities, and how such activities are carried between and among states. It also helps in regulating the conduct of states, how the states would behave in different types of situations, and how they solve the problems and the disputes through the use of international law. और इसी के साथ international law is needed because we need the guidelines of international law in diplomacy, in the working of diplomatic missions. What would be the diplomatic communities? And as a result, the role is that it has given us all these principles and guidelines related to diplomatic staff and diplomatic functions. Then the sources of international law. So the sources of international law are treaty in which the states agree on some conditions, the states agree on some particular points, and then they try to follow those points or those treaties. And if those treaties points are acceptable to many states, then it can take the acceptance of and the recognition of international law. इसमें कुछ ऐसे भी हैं, ऐसे treaties हैं which involve many states, and as a result such kind of treaty can very preferably and very conveniently can become a part of international law. इसी तरह United Nations की जो treaty है, in which the states agree that they would follow the Charter of United Nations, and then they are establishing different types of rules and become signatory to it, so they become the parts of international law. इसी तरह customs है, they are the practices or the usages of a group of people, and when they are accepted by the states, they can become a part of national law. And when different states agree to those customs and to those practices, then they can become part of international law. इसी तरह जो अदालती फैसले हैं, judicial decisions हैं of the national courts or the international court of justice, so they can become a part of international law because they are based on justice, they are based on equity. इसी तरह the explanations, the statements, the remarks, the commentaries, the interpretations of jurists, the expert people, the expert legal experts, so they can also become part of international law because their opinion is highly respected, and they, through their intellect and through their good sense, they put their explanations, they put their observations, and as such their opinion, if respected and obeyed by different states, can become part of international law. इसी तरह the resolution passed by the different organizations, especially UN, जो कि एक बड़ी तंजीम है, so this can very easily become part of international law because such resolutions take the support of majority of the world states, majority of the world countries, and therefore they can be easily enforced. And because all the states of the world are abiding by it, therefore these kind of resolutions can be a very valid source and a very valuable source of international law. Then we discussed that is international law really a law, and we discussed there are two schools. One is called positive school, the second is called historical school. Positive school के मुताबिक ये law नहीं है. This is not a law because a law is not, this law is not made by a formal legislature. There is no police force, there is no executive agency to enforce international law. इसी के साथ there is no sovereign who can enforce international law. International law has very limited jurisdiction and there is no punishment on its violation. लेकिन इसी के आंसर देते हुए हिस्टोरिकल स्कूल के मुताबिक इंटरनेशनल लॉ इज़ अ लॉ, ये कानून है, ये लॉ है, इसीलिए कि अगर इट इज़ नॉट पास्ड बाय एनी लेजिस्लेचर, दिस डजंट मीन इट इज़ नॉट अ लॉ, बिकॉज मेनी ऑफ द लॉज are passed by or not passed by legislature and they have different sources but still they are law. इसी तरह if there is no executive agency, this doesn't mean that it is not a law because one should observe international law. Enforcement ज़रूरी नहीं है. अगर आप उसको observe कर रहे हो, अगर आप उसको follow कर रहे हो, अगर आप समझते हो कि ये जो rules हैं ये सही है, so this is enough to make it a law. जिस तरह students can play different games without the presence of teacher. In the absence of coach, they will still follow the principles because they consider that the rules are necessary for the good playing, for the good game. इसी तरह international game में the states try to follow the principles of international law because they are good for the international games. And according to them, if there is no limited jurisdiction, this doesn't mean because here the states are sovereign, here the states who are having all authority, so they are given this power, and when they bring the case before ICJ, remember after that the decision of the court is binding upon them. तो शुरू में वो अगर ना चाहें, so they can still not bring their case to the International Court of Justice, but once they agree the acceptance, the jurisdiction of International Court of Justice, then the decisions become binding on them. As a result, this is a law. और इसी के मुताबिक जो आखिरी है कि there is no punishment, so there is some punishment on violation of international law. There are different types of punishment, though they are a bit different because here the parties involved are states, लेकिन वहाँ पे कुछ sanctions मौजूद हैं. ICJ केस को डिसाइड करती है, वो भी एक बैंडिंग फोर्स है. इसी के अलावा UN है. The UN can also look that the states should not violate international law. They should not become a threat to world peace. If they become, UN has got some powers to enforce the decision of the International Court of Justice and also to see that the international law is being complied. इसी के साथ there can be different types of embargoes. There can be different types of blockades which are put on the international law, जहाँ पे उनकी जो जितनी भी तिजारती सरगर्मियाँ हैं उसको रोक दिया जा सकता है. इसी के साथ डिप्लोमेटिक मिशंस को कैंसिल कर सकते हैं. इसी के साथ डिफरेंट टाइप्स ऑफ क्रिटिसिज्म हो सकते हैं ऑन इंटरनेशनल लेवल, जिसमें वर्ल्ड पब्लिक ओपिनियन है जो कि उस स्टेट्स के खिलाफ अपनी आवाज़ उठाते हैं और अवामी राय को हमवार करते हैं उस स्टेट्स के खिलाफ. So these are some of the sanctions which are behind international law. आखिर में हम ये कह सकते हैं according to Oppenheim कि it is a law but it is a weaker law because here the parties involved are the sovereign states. With this we have finally summarized the previous lecture. Let us start our new lecture which is about conflict and change in the post-war world. In this unit, we would discuss and we would know about League of Nations. The short form for League of Nations I would use is LON in this lecture. Then why LON? Why League of Nations? Then the structure of League of Nations, the functions and its role, and the failure and causes. Then we would discuss about UNO, United Nations Organization. Then why we need UNO? What is the structure of UNO? What is the function of UNO? What are the achievements, the failure, and its causes? With this, we will also try to know about Cold War and about NATO, about Warsaw Pact, about CENTO, and about CEDAW. So let us start our lecture with the first topic called League of Nations. The question, as we have already discussed this point, when was League of Nations established? हम कर चुके हैं, इसको बार बार पढ़ चुके हैं. So the answer is that League of Nations was established soon after World War I, and the year is 1919. So it was established after First World War 1919. Why it was established? आखिर क्यों बनाया गया? इसीलिए कि इससे पहले पहली जंग अज़ीम हो चुकी है. So it was established after First World War because the states now want peace. They want that any threat to the world peace should be eliminated, and as a result there should be peaceful atmosphere in the world. So it was established to avoid a repeat of devastating war, कि फिर ऐसी होलनाक तबाही, ऐसी होलनाक जंग ना हो जिसमें बहुत से मुल्कों का बहुत ज़्यादा नुकसान हुआ. It was the first significant institution with a clear objective to maintain universal peace. ये आपको सबसे ज़्यादा वाज़ेह एक स्टेप नज़र आ रहा है, सबसे एक मुनफरिद इदारा नज़र आ रहा है जिसको सिर्फ इसलिए बनाया गया कि ये दुनिया में अमन लाए, कि ये दुनिया से जंग को ख़त्म करे. अगर इससे पहले कोई तंजीमें थी तो वो सिर्फ इलाकाई हद तक महदूद थी, लेकिन दिस लीग ऑफ नेशन वॉज ट्राई टू ब्रिंग पीस इन द होल वर्ल्ड. दुनिया में कहीं पे भी जंग ना हो, पूरे अमन आए. सो दिस वॉज अ वेरी गुड पर्पस ऑफ द लीग ऑफ नेशन. Similarly, to develop cooperation among nations and to guarantee them peace and security. So these were the objectives of the League of Nations. The League goal included disarmament, preventing war through collective security, settling disputes between countries through negotiations, diplomacy, and improving global welfare. लीग ऑफ नेशन ने दुनिया में अमन लाना है, दुनिया को जंग से बचाना है. इसी के साथ उन्होंने डिसआर्मामेंट करना है. वी हैव ऑलरेडी डिस्कस व्हाट इज डिसआर्मामेंट, कि दुनिया को असलहे से पाक करना है, असलहे की जो रेस है उसको दुनिया से बचाना है. एंड प्रिवेंटिंग वॉर थ्रू कलेक्टिव सिक्योरिटी. यहाँ पे एक वर्ड आया है कलेक्टिव सिक्योरिटी. कलेक्टिव सिक्योरिटी का मतलब है कि सारे की मुश्तरका एक जिम्मेदारी है कि वो दुनिया में अमन लाए और जंग के ख़िलाफ़ हो. जिसका मतलब ये है कि अगर फ़र्ज़ करें कोई भी कंट्री दुनिया की अमन के लिए ख़तरा है, अ कंट्री इफ़ इट इज़ बिकमिंग अ थ्रेट टू द वर्ल्ड पीस, देन ऑल द कंट्रीज़ would take it as their responsibility to fight against that country to make it peaceful. तो सारों की एक मुश्तरका जिम्मेदारी है, एक कलेक्टिव सिक्योरिटी है, सारों की सिक्योरिटी आपस में मुंसलिक है. So all the states would combine together to fight for the security, to fight for bringing peace. And similarly they have to settle disputes through negotiations, through talks. In this way peace can be achieved. The problems should not be solved through wars. War is not a problem to the peace. Rather, it is negotiations, it is through diplomacy that the dispute should be solved. Now, some questions about League of Nations. Remember, it is being said that League of Nations is the brainchild of Woodrow Wilson. मतलब ये है कि ये Woodrow Wilson का एक ज़हनी इख्तिरा है. ये Woodrow Wilson ने इसके बारे में सोचा और इसके बारे में उन्होंने अपना आइडिया दिया. हालांकि इसमें कुछ और भी नाम हैं, लेकिन Woodrow Wilson का नाम ज़्यादा मुनफरिद है, ज़्यादा नुमायाँ आता है लीग ऑफ नेशन के इस्टेब्लिशमेंट में, क्योंकि Woodrow Wilson चाहता था कि एक ऐसी तंजीम हो जो कि दुनिया में अमन के लिए काम करे, जो कि दुनिया को फिर ऐसे होलनाक जंगी अजीम से बचाए। इसीलिए उन्होंने इस तरह सोचना शुरू किया। इसके अलावा इसमें एडवर्ड ग्रे का नाम भी आता है, जो कि ब्रिटेन फॉरेन सेक्रेटरी था उस वक्त। अब क्वेश्चन ये है कि हु वॉज विल्सन, कि नाम हम पहले भी कर चुके हैं। तो हु वॉज विल्सन और हु वॉज वुडरो विल्सन? आप सोचेंगे, आपका आंसर होगा कि वुडरो विल्सन वॉज यूएस प्रेसिडेंट। ही वॉज यूएस प्रेसिडेंट ड्यूरिंग वर्ल्ड वॉर वन and even after World War I for some years. So he was a very intellectual person, and he worked very much for bringing peace in the region according to the US history. So on January 18, 1919, the peace conference under the chairmanship of Wilson convened in Paris. तो पेरिस में 1919 में ये पीस कॉन्फ्रेंस बुलाई गई, जो कि विल्सन की सरबराही में मुनक्किद की गई। दिस कॉन्फ्रेंस एक्सेप्टेड द प्रपोजल टू क्रिएट द लीग ऑफ नेशन ऑन जनवरी 25, 1919। सो आखिर में ये जो कॉन्फ्रेंस है, उन्होंने ये तजवीज़ दी और ये फैसला किया कि लीग ऑफ नेशन को बनाया जाए, एक ऐसी तंजीम जो कि दुनिया में अमन लाने के लिए काम करे। President Wilson was then made chairman of the 19-member commission established to formulate a list of rules and regulations for an international organization. तो विल्सन को उस कमेटी का, उस कमीशन का चेयरमैन बनाया गया, and the task was that this committee would make the rules. This would make the guidelines कि जो लीग ऑफ नेशन है, ये जो इंटरनेशनल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है, इसका स्ट्रक्चर कैसा हो, इसकी वर्किंग कैसे हो, इसका फंक्शन क्या हो। सो ऑल दीज टास्क वाज गिवन टू दैट कमीशन हुज चेयरमैन वाज प्रेसिडेंट विल्सन ऑफ यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स। इन द पिक्चर you can see the image of President Wilson of United States. Now, it is also being said that League of Nations at the end was a failure. ये नाकाम हुई, लेकिन कुछ लोग ये कहते हैं because there were some countries that did not join League of Nations. League of Nations में कुछ countries ने हिस्सा नहीं लिया, या उन्होंने बेहतर तरीके से हिस्सा नहीं लिया, या उन्होंने अपनी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज़ कुछ कंट्रीज़ ने नहीं की। काफ़ी वजूहात हैं, लेकिन लीग ऑफ नेशन में कुछ कंट्रीज़ ने हिस्सा नहीं लिया, जिस तरह जर्मनी है। जर्मनी वॉज नॉट इन्वाइटेड टू जॉइन लीग ऑफ नेशन। वाई? बिकॉज जर्मनी वॉज ब्लेम्ड। जर्मनी पे इल्ज़ाम लगाया गया कि वो पहली जंग अजीम का वाहिद ज़िम्मेदार है। सो बिकॉज Germany was responsible for the war, therefore Germany will not be included in the League of Nations. It was not invited to join League of Nations. Although Germany joined later on, in 1926 it joined, but very soon it left in 1933 because Germany was having some other ambitions and some other policies. Similarly, Russia, which has communist government, it was again not invited to join. Rather, the entrance of Russia was resisted. Russia को invite नहीं किया गया, बल्कि उसके एडमिशन को बाकायदा रोक दिया गया, इसीलिए कि रशिया में कम्युनिस्ट गवर्नमेंट दिया, और जो वेस्टर्न सिस्टम था, it was mostly capitalism, so they were not in favor of giving membership to Russia. Although Russia joined in 1934, remember 1934 में रशिया ने ज्वाइन किया। आप देख सकते हैं कि जब जर्मनी ने लीग ऑफ नेशन को छोड़ दिया in 1933, तो उसके बाद रशिया इसका मेंबर बना, लेकिन ये मेंबरशिप भी कुछ अरसे तक ही महदूद रही, क्योंकि in 1939 रशिया was forced to leave League of Nations. Russia was driven out of League of Nations. It was removed from League of Nations. And interesting fact about America was that America never joined League of Nations. हालांकि सारा काम League of Nations में वुडरो विल्सन जो यूएस प्रेसिडेंट हैं उन्होंने किया, उन्होंने ही इसकी जो कमीशन है उसका चेयरमैन बना, उन्हीं का आइडिया था और उन्हें बहुत इसके ऊपर काम किया, लेकिन अफसोस की बात है कि when the time for joining the League of Nations was there, so America did not join. Why America did not join? उसकी मेन वजह ये है, अमेरिका जो भी मुआहदे करता है तो उसमें एक लाजमी बात ये है कि उन मुआहदों को जो यूएस की सेनेट है, जो यूएस का अपर हाउस है, वहाँ से मंजूरी हासिल हो, क्योंकि जब तक यूएस सेनेट से मंजूरी नहीं आएगी तो रिमेंबर यूएस विल नॉट ज्वाइन दैट treaty. It will not sign or it will not accept that treaty, and as a result this is compulsory for US president that the treaty or any organization should be joined after it is ratified from US Senate. अगर US Senate उसको बाकायदा तस्दीक कर ले, उसको बाकायदा एक्सेप्ट कर ले, तब US प्रेसिडेंट उस मुआहदे को फॉलो करेगा। तो जब लीग ऑफ नेशन में ज्वाइन करने की बात आई तो उस वक्त यूएस सेनेट ने इस मुआहदे को रद्द कर दिया, क्योंकि उनका ये ख्याल था कि जो ट्रीटी है, ये जो लीग ऑफ नेशंस के कुछ पॉइंट्स हैं, सो दे आर अगेंस्ट द सॉवरेंटी ऑफ यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स एंड एज अ रिजल्ट दिस वुड रिस्ट्रिक्ट द सॉवरेंटी ऑफ यूएस। इसीलिए उन्होंने इस मुआहदे को कबूल नहीं किया, इसको रद्द कर दिया, जिसकी वजह से यूएस प्रेसिडेंट could not join the League of Nations, and as a result this was one of the reasons for the failure of League of Nations. Here in the image you can see the logo of League of Nations, जो कि blue background में you can see also a star and the League of Nations being written. It's 1919. Although it's being said that League of Nations ने बाकायदा कोई formally एक logo को एक्सेप्ट नहीं किया, there were different controversies on logo, but most frequently this logo was also used. And in the picture you can see a meeting of the League of Nations for the year 1936. इसके बाद League of Nations was officially inaugurated on 10 January 1920. तो 1920 में इसका बाकायदा इफ्तिताह किया गया, इसका बाकायदा इजलास हुआ। Initially 42 members joined it. By 1926 the member rose to 55. So you can see that the members were rising as the time passes on. The League of Nations was open to all other states if they obtained a 2/3 majority of yes votes cast in the assembly. तो लीग ऑफ नेशंस में बाकी ममालिक को भी मेंबरशिप दी जा रही थी। They could join League of Nations, but the condition was that they have to seek 2/3 majority. तो अगर 2/3 अक्सरियत से उनको उनकी शमूलियत को तस्लीम किया गया by the Assembly of League of Nations, then that state would become a member of League of Nations. The proposal for adopting an official symbol were made during the League beginning in 1920, but the member states never reached agreement. तो जैसा मैंने पहले भी बताया कि एक ऑफिशियल सिंबल के लिए लीग ऑफ नेशन ने शुरू में कुछ इजलास किए, कुछ उनकी ऊपर डिस्कशंस आई, लेकिन they could not agree on. However, League of Nations organization used varying logos. इसलिए वो मुख्तलिफ किस्म के flags यूज किए during the time. The official language of the nations were French, English and Spanish. तो ये कुछ उनके जो सरकारी लैंग्वेज थे, सरकारी ज़बान थे, वो फ्रेंच, इंग्लिश और स्पेनिश थे। अब इसके बाद आते हैं स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ लीग ऑफ नेशन। आखिर लीग ऑफ नेशन का स्ट्रक्चर क्या था? So there were some organs of League of Nations. What were some of the organs? You can recall some of them. They were, number 1, the Secretariat. Second is the Council. The third is General Assembly. And another is the Permanent Court of International Justice. So these were some of the organizations. इसके अलावा उन्होंने बाकायदा और भी कुछ semi organizations and bodies थे that were also working for League of Nations. Here some of the important are given. Number 1, the Assembly. Let us know them in details. What was the Assembly organ? All members of the League were automatically members of it. तो League of Nations में जितने भी members थे, so they were given the membership of League of Nations. So this means that all the members which are coming to acquire the membership of League of Nations, so they will also be a member of the Assembly of League of Nations. Each member state had one vote, but was permitted to send up to 3 delegates. तो हालांकि उनका वोट तो एक ही होता, लेकिन every state was allowed to send 3 members or 3 delegates. The Assembly held its sessions once a year in September. तो साल में ये एक दफ़ा मिलता, and this would meet in the month of September. And every state was given one vote. All the states were assumed to be equal. Their vote was equal, but a state can send 3 delegates or 3 members. What were the functions of the Assembly? So number 1, it could control the budget. तो जितना भी League of Nations का बजट था, this was to be discussed by the General Assembly, and the General Assembly or the Assembly of the League of Nations would control the budget. Second, it would also deal with the admission of new members of the League. तो League of Nations में जो भी members आते, तो उनको admission League of Nations देता. So admission of new members to the League. तो League of Nations में कोई भी अगर member आता, so the Assembly would discuss that case, and the Assembly through the majority would allow a member to become a part of League of Nations. So this was again one of the important function of League of Nations. इसके अलावा all matters affecting world peace, so they were to be taken by the Assembly. So the Assembly would take those matters, those problems, and they would discuss that because they were affecting world peace. Another function of the Assembly was that it could make amendment to the covenant and revision of treaties, which means that all the covenants or the treaties which were to be discussed by the League of Nations, so the Assembly can bring amendment to it. It can modify those treaties. तो उसके पास ये पावर थी कि वो जो कन्वेंशंस हैं या जो ट्रीटीज हैं उनको रिवाइज कर सके, उसमें कोई तब्दीली ला सके. इसके अलावा उनका दूसरा काम इलेक्टिंग नॉन परमानेंट मेंबर्स ऑफ द काउंसिल था, क्योंकि जो काउंसिल है उसमें 2 किस्म के मेंबर्स थे. वन ऑफ देम वर परमानेंट मेंबर्स, द सेकंड वर नॉन परमानेंट मेंबर्स. So the selection of non-permanent members was also one of the function of Assembly. इसी तरह the formulation of rules regarding the selection and terms of the council member was also one of the important function of the Assembly. Now let us come to the function of the council. What would the council do? How were they selected? And what were the members of the council? Let us know about them. The council was a coalition of the 4 permanent members. तो council में 4 मुस्तकिल अरकान थे. वो कौन से अरकान थे? They were coming from France, Italy, Japan and UK. तो ये वो 4 ममालिक थे जो कि council के मुस्तकिल अरकान थे. ये चेंज नहीं होते, ये हमेशा रहते. Only the members can change, but these countries would always be represented in the council. Germany joined in 1926, but left in 1935. In September 1934, the Soviet Union entered the League of Nations. The non-permanent members were elected by the Assembly for a 3 year period, and it met on average 5 times a year and in extraordinary sessions when required. तो जो non-permanent members थे, so they were elected for a 3 year term and they would meet more frequently than the Assembly. Assembly साल में 1 दफ़ा होती, ये साल में 5 दफ़ा. और इसके अलावा if the situation demands, If the situation needs, then they would also meet for some extraordinary session, for some special sessions as well. What were the functions of the council? Number one, it would settle disputes between the states. So the council would decide about the disputes that would arise between the member nations. The expulsion of members of the League of Nations that violated the covenant. तो लीग जो काउंसिल है, it would also can remove any member of the league if it is not obeying the treaty of the League of Nations, if it is not obeying the covenant of the League of Nations. तो जो लीग ऑफ नेशन का मुसविदा है, जो उसके एग्रीमेंट्स हैं, जो उसकी गाइडलाइंस है, अगर कोई स्टेट कोई मेंबर उस पे अमल नहीं कर रहा, उसको वायलेट कर रहा है, so the council had got this authority to remove that member from the League of Nations. It was also given the function of supervision of mandates. तो जो mandates की निगरानी थी वो भी council की जिम्मेदारी थी. So the council would also look that the mandates are functioned and they are kept, they are operated through the assigned rules and through the assigned guidelines. The approval of staff appointment to the secretariat was also a function of the council. Next, the authority to move the league headquarter. तो जो लीग का हेडक्वार्टर था उसको चेंज करना, उसको शिफ्ट करना, वो भी काउंसिल की जिम्मेदारी थी. Only the council can change the headquarter of the League of Nations. And the formulation of plans for disarmaments. असलहे की तखफीफ के लिए, असलहे की कमी के लिए जो गाइडलाइंस थी, जो प्लान्स था, वो भी काउंसिल ने ही निभाना था, काउंसिल ने ही देखना था कि जो डिसआर्मेंट का प्लान है वो प्लान के मुताबिक अमल हो और डिसआर्मेंट को सही तरीके से इम्प्लीमेंट किया जाए. And the obligation to meet the request of any league member to consider any threat to international peace. इसके अलावा काउंसिल कोई भी ऐसे रिक्वेस्ट को जो मेंबर उसको देता कि कोई भी एक ऐसा मसला है which is a threat to international peace, so the council can meet on that particular agenda, it can meet on that particular request and can discuss the issue because the issue was a threat to international peace. So any league member can request the council that they should discuss a matter which is very important because it is a threat to international peace. Another organ of the League of Nations was Secretariat. It was headed by Secretary General, 2 deputy secretaries, Secretary General and 2 under secretaries. Over the life of League from 1920 to 46, there were 3 Secretary Generals. तो आपको नजर आ रहा है कि लीग ऑफ नेशन 1920 से लेके 1946 तक मौजूद रही है और इस अरसे में देयर वर ओनली 3 सेक्रेटरी जनरल्स. What were the function of the secretariat? Because it was a secretariat, it was an official office type agency. Therefore, it was responsible for preparing the agenda for the council and the assembly. It also published reports of the meetings and other routine matters. So it would keep the records. It was responsible कि कौन सी बातें, कौन सा एजेंडा है जो काउंसिल के सामने पेश किया जाए. तो it would prepare an agenda. It would publish the copies. It would also prepare the agenda for the assembly and the things that were discussed, and then the decision that was made by the council or decision made by the assembly. So then this would also publish reports of the meetings and other things which are being decided. Some other bodies of the League of Nations were Permanent Court of International Justice, the Economic and Financial Organization, the Disarmament Commission, the Health Organization, the International Labour Organization, the Mandate Commission, the Commission for Refugees. You can see that most of these bodies are also found in under the UN bodies, and they were started by, most of them were started by League of Nations. There was also a system called the mandate system in League of Nations. What is mandate system? Under the mandate system, there were territories that were former colonies of the German Empire and the Ottoman Empire, and these areas were placed under the supervision of the League after World War I. तो मैंडेट सिस्टम में क्या है? मैंडेट सिस्टम जिस तरह निगरानी का सिस्टम है कि इसमें ऐसे इलाके थे, ऐसी रियासतें थीं जो कि अभी आज़ाद नहीं थी. सो दे वर कॉलोनीज, दे वर फॉर्मर कॉलोनीज ऑफ जर्मन एम्पायर, या दे वर द एरियाज बिलोंगिंग टू ऑटोमन एम्पायर. तो जब जर्मन को और ऑटोमन एम्पायर को वर्ल्ड वॉर वन में शिकस्त हुई, जिस तरह की हमें तारीख से पता चलता है, तो फिर उन्होंने क्या किया? उन्होंने इसी जर्मन एम्पायर के और जो ऑटोमन एम्पायर है, जो खिलाफत उस्मानिया है, उनके इलाकों को ले लिया, उन इलाकों को अपने कब्जे में ले लिया और उनको मैंडेट का नाम दे दिया. और साथ में ये तजवीज़ किया कि ये जो इलाके हैं इनको वक्त के साथ साथ आज़ादी दे दी जाएगी. अगर ये अपने पाँव पे खड़े हो गए और अगर इनके लोगों में वो शऊर पैदा हो गया तो फिर इनको आज़ादी दे दी जाएगी. सो दिस वॉज व्हाट वॉज कॉल्ड द मैंडेट सिस्टम. दे वॉज पुट अंडर द सुपरविजन ऑफ द लीग. सो सम ऑफ द कंट्रीज in the League of Nations, mostly the powerful nations in the League of Nations, so they were given this supervision. आप इसको तावान भी कह सकते हैं कि उन्होंने तावान के तौर पे इसको लिया. हालांकि वो तावान का वर्ड तो यूज़ नहीं कर रहे थे, वो इसको मैंडेट कह रहे थे कि ये सिर्फ उनके लिए एक रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है, एक जिम्मेदारी है कि उन्होंने इन इलाकों को डेवलप करना है, उनको तरक्की देनी है, यहाँ तक कि वो डेवलपमेंट के काबिल हो जाए और उसके बाद वो आज़ादी उनको दे दी जाएगी. द 6 मैंडेटरी पावर्स वर UK, फ्रांस, बेल्जियम, न्यूजीलैंड, ऑस्ट्रेलिया एंड जापान. So these were the powers that were given mandates, that were given these colonies to look after them and to ensure that when they get independence, so such countries, such states, such regions would be given independence. The mandate territories were treated as colonies and were regarded as by critics as spoils of war. तो जिस तरह मैंने पहले कहा कि ये जो मैंडेट टेरिटरीज थे, वो इलाके जो कि मैंडेट में आ रहे थे, उनको जिस तरह कॉलोनी को ट्रीट किया जाता था उसी तरह उनको भी ट्रीट किया गया. और कुछ के मुताबिक, कुछ नाकिरीन के मुताबिक, दीस वर स्पॉइल्स ऑफ वार. ये जो जंग से जिन उनको मराआत हासिल हुई, जो तावान हासिल हुआ, ये वहीं है, ये वहीं इलाके थे. द मैंडेट एरियाज वर इराक, सीरिया, टोगोलैंड, कैमरून, तंगनीका, नमीबिया, etc. So you can see some of the territories that were included in the mandate system. With the exception of Iraq, which joined the League on October 3, 1932, these territories did not begin to gain independence until after the World War II, a process that did not end till 1990s. तो आपको नज़र आ रहा है कि जो मैंडेट सिस्टम में जो इलाके शामिल थे जिनको अभी आज़ादी नहीं दी गई और वो जर्मन एम्पायर से और खिलाफत उस्मानिया से लिए गए थे, इसीलिए मुसलमानों ने बरसगीर में इसके ख़िलाफ़ आवाज़ बुलंद की और उनका यही मुतालबा था कि जो खिलाफत उस्मानिया के इलाके हैं उनको तकसीम ना किया जाए, उनको तहवील में ना लिया जाए और मुक़द्दस मकामात की निगरानी की जाए, उनकी पासदारी की जाए. लेकिन ऐसा नहीं हुआ. And therefore these areas were taken as a mandate, they were taken as a compensation and they were not given independence. जैसा आपको नज़र आ रहा है कि सिर्फ इराक के अलावा बाकी किसी को आज़ादी नहीं मिली और उनको जो आज़ादी मिलनी शुरू हुई तो वो आफ्टर वर्ल्ड वॉर 2 था, जिसका मतलब ये है कि वर्ल्ड वॉर 2 से पहले सिर्फ इराक को ही आज़ादी मिली, और बाकी जितने भी मैंडेट टेरिटरीज थे उनको आज़ादी नहीं दी गई। उनकी आज़ादी आफ्टर वर्ल्ड वॉर 2 शुरू हुई और उसके बाद जो आखिरी रियासत को आज़ादी मिली सो इट वाज समवेयर इन 1990s। तो नज़र आ रहा है कि इन्होंने काफ़ी टाइम लिया इनको आज़ादी देते हुए। Following the demise of the League, most of the remaining mandate become United Nations Trust Territories. UN जब बन गया आफ्टर वर्ल्ड वॉर 2 और लीग ऑफ नेशन ख़त्म हुई तो उन्होंने मैंडेट सिस्टम का नाम चेंज कर दिया। असूल वही था, काम वही था, लेकिन अब उन्होंने इसका नाम चेंज करके ट्रस्ट टेरिटरी रख दिया और जिसको ट्रस्टीशिप काउंसिल के अंडर दे दिया गया। So you can see that the same things prevail even after World War II, and these areas were given independence very gradually. The next organ of the League of Nations was the Permanent Court of International Justice. Although the Permanent Court of International Justice was theoretically not a part of the League, but it was closely affiliated with it. The code was established in 1921. तो नजर आ रहा है कि it was established soon after the League of Nations and it was affiliated with the League of Nations. Why the Court of Justice was needed? It was needed to decide disputes brought before it on the basis of existing territory, existing treaty and customary international law. तो इनके मुताबिक क्योंकि डिस्प्यूट्स तो ज़ाहिरी बात है आते रहेंगे, तो कैसे डिस्प्यूट्स को हल किया जाए, कैसे सॉल्व किया जाए, तो इसीलिए उन्होंने इंटरनेशनल जस्टिस कोड को माना, इसकी ज़रूरत को तस्लीम किया और इसका मकसद ये था कि जो भी उस वक्त जो मुआहदे हो रहे थे आफ्टर वर्ल्ड वॉर 1 तो कैसे उन मुआहदों की पासदारी की जाए, कैसे इन मुआहदों को सही तरीके से उस पर अमल किया जाए और नाइंसाफ़ी ना हो। तो इसीलिए उन्होंने परमानेंट कोर्ट ऑफ इंटरनेशनल जस्टिस को बनाया ताकि वो इन मुआहदों की पासदारी को देखे। और इसके अलावा जितने भी डिस्प्यूट्स होंगे बिटवीन इंटरनेशनल इन द इंटरनेशनल रिलेशंस बिटवीन डिफरेंट कंट्रीज, सो दीज प्रॉब्लम्स आर सॉल्व्ड थ्रू दैट कोड बाय ऑब्जर्विंग ऑफ international law. The Court of Justice was composed of 11 judges and 4 deputy judges. So you can see that again the number of judges were 15. What were the achievements of League of Nations? अब League of Nations तो बन गई है, अब इसके कुछ achievements भी होंगे, कुछ इसके failures भी होंगे. Let us see what were the achievements of League of Nations. The League worked to combat the international trade in opium and sexual slavery and helped alleviate the plight of refugees. So the League helped. In which aspect it helped? It helped in stopping the trade of opium. It helped in stopping sexual slavery, जो कि उस वक्त काफ़ी ज़्यादा अरूज पे थी. So it helped in stopping these kind of injustices. It also helped the refugees because it was the time of wars और जंगें काफ़ी होती हैं और even small scale पे wars चल रही होती हैं. So the refugees would always be there. So how to improve the condition of refugees, how to help them, how to help those people who migrated and they went to other states or other regions. So these refugees were taken care of by League of Nations. They would provide aid, they would provide shelters and they would provide food by League of Nations. इसी के साथ लीग ऑफ नेशन ने एक पासपोर्ट इंट्रोड्यूस किया जिसको नैनसेन पासपोर्ट कहा जाता. सो द इंट्रोडक्शन ऑफ नैनसेन पासपोर्ट वाज इंटरनेशनली रिकॉग्नाइज्ड. इस पासपोर्ट को जितने भी लीग के मेंबर कंट्रीज थे उन्होंने इसको तस्लीम किया और इस पासपोर्ट को माना जाता ताकि जो रेफ्यूजीज हैं सो दे कैन ईजिली मूव फ्रॉम वन स्टेट टू अनदर स्टेट बाय हैविंग दिस पासपोर्ट. क्योंकि रेफ्यूजीज इतने ज़्यादा थे और बाकायदा उनका कोई स्टेट नहीं था, क्योंकि आज जो स्टेट है वो कल किसी और स्टेट का हिस्सा बन जाता तो उसका नाम ही चेंज हो जाता या उसका जो सॉवरेंटी है वो चेंज हो जाती है. इसीलिए हाउ टू आइडेंटिफाई अ रेफ्यूजी, So therefore they were called stateless refugees. उनका स्टेट नहीं था, लेकिन नैन्सिंग पासपोर्ट उनको इशू किया गया on the basis of which these refugees can move between states. इसी तरह it stopped border disputes turning into wars. अब जाहिर बात है जितने भी border disputes होते हैं, so most of the time they turn to wars, they turn to conflicts, and then they turn to wars which are very violent. So in Silesia in 1921, it helped a plebiscite and suggested a partition, which stopped a war between Germany and Poland. तो जर्मनी और पोलैंड की जो एक बॉर्डर डिस्प्यूट था, लीग ऑफ नेशन ने उसको हल किया. हाउ इट वाज हेल्प्ड? It was helped through a plebiscite. It was helped through a voting, and as a result, this dispute between Germany and Poland was stopped from turning into a big war. It arbitrated between Sweden and Finland over the island in 1921. Its investigation showed that the island belonged to Finland. तो ये जो आइलैंड का जजीरा है, इस पे भी there was a conflict between Sweden and Finland. What was the conflict? The conflict was that Sweden and Finland both were trying to have their claim on this island. And as a result, when the League of Nations investigated, and through their investigation, they finally arrived at this conclusion. They finally concluded the result that the island belonged to Finland. हालांकि उसमें जो ज़्यादा आबादी थी वो स्वीडन के बाशिंदों की थी, लेकिन क्लेम उन्होंने जो देखा, so they accepted the claim of the Finland. As a result, the island was given to Finland. As a result, this island was ceded to Finland. Another achievement of League of Nations was that when the League rejected Turkey's claim to Mosul, a part of Iraq, Turkey agreed. So you can see that Mosul was a part of Iraq, but Turkey was claiming this region, and as a result, when this was taken to League of Nations, so the League of Nations decided that this should be given to Iraq because it was a part of Iraq, and Turkey at that time agreed by the decision. As a result, this problem was amicably solved. इसी तरह when Greece invaded Bulgaria in 1925, the League ordered Greece to withdraw, which it did. So again you can see that it solved the problem of between Greece and Bulgaria. The League also improved people's life. It took 400,000 prisoners of war back to their home. It set up refugee camps after the 1922 war between Turkey and Greece. तो आपको नज़र आ रहा है कि सिर्फ स्टेट की सतह पे भी नहीं, बल्कि even on the individual level, it helped a lot. It improved the condition of the people. It helped the prisoner as well. Almost 400,000, 4 लाख कैदी, इनकी वजह से they came back to their homes. They were finally back to their states. And it also sets different types of refugee camps. Whenever there were wars, so it would set refugee camps to help the refugees escape their plights and escape their problems. The health committee worked against leprosy and malaria. तो आपको ये भी काफ़ी ज़बरदस्त अचीवमेंट है कि the League of Nations helped against leprosy and malaria, जो कि काफ़ी ख़तरनाक उस वक्त जाने जाते हैं, and they were responsible for different deaths. The League closed down 4 Swiss companies which were selling drugs and attacked slave owners in Burma and Sierra Leone, setting free 200,000 slaves. So you can see that the League again helped very much in the social service, and they worked against slavery. They also worked against the drug sellers, and as a result they have freed more than 200,000 slaves. तो 2 लाख से ज़्यादा जो कैदी थे, so they were slaved by the effort of League of Nations. Most of the bodies were accepted by UN and continued to work. So the League of Nations achievement is so great that many of the works, many of the bodies that were established by the League of Nations, so they were taken by United Nations, they were accepted by United Nations, and they were allowed to continue work under UN. जिस तरह आपको कुछ नज़र भी आ रहा है कि they were set under League of Nations, but because of their advantage, because of their social service, they were kept, they were maintained, and they are still working under UN. जिस तरह इंटरनेशनल रेफ्यूजी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है, इसी तरह इंटरनेशनल कोर्ट ऑफ जस्टिस है, इंटरनेशनल लेबर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है, इकोनॉमिक एंड सोशल काउंसिल है, द वर्ल्ड हेल्थ ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस है. So you can see that these bodies also exist under UN at present. Now let's discuss the failure of League of Nations. The outbreak of World War II was the immediate cause of League's demise. सबसे पहली इसकी जो नाकामी है वो दूसरी जंग अजीम का होना है. तो दूसरी जंग अजीम का होना बजाते खुद इसकी नाकामी है, because the League was established for preventing the world from the war. But we can see that even in the presence of League of Nations, World War II happened, it occurred. As a result, the utility, the function of League of Nations was failed. Second, League of Nations lacked an armed force of its own and depended on the great power to enforce its resolution, which they were very reluctant to do. तो इसके पास बाकायदा अपनी कोई फौज नहीं थी, अपनी कोई फौजी सामान नहीं था जिसके ज़रिए ये जो अमन है या जो अमन की जितने भी एफर्ट्स हैं उसको इन्फोर्स करता, क्योंकि दिस वाज डिपेंडेंट ऑन अदर कंट्रीज and therefore the other countries would not give them the aid, they would not give them the funding, they would not provide them the armed forces. So as a result, because League of Nations was without any armed force of its own, as a result this could not achieve stability, this could not stop war on its own, and the League of Nations was failed to bring peace. Then the economic sanctions were the most severe measures the League of Nations could implement, but it had no great impact on the target country because it would trade with those outside the League. तो लीग ऑफ नेशन का सबसे बड़ा हथियार क्या था कि वो किसी कंट्री के ऊपर इकोनॉमिक सैंक्शन लगा देता, उसके ऊपर तिजारती पाबंदियाँ लगा देता, लेकिन इसका कोई ख़ास फ़र्क नहीं पड़ता क्योंकि वो जो कंट्री थी वो किसी और कंट्री के साथ अपने इकोनॉमिक रिलेशंस बना देती है जो कि लीग ऑफ नेशंस के मेंबर नहीं होते. सो एज अ रिजल्ट these economic sanctions were also not fruitful. The League's two important members, Britain and France, were reluctant to use sanctions and even reluctant to resort to military action on the behalf of League. तो जहाँ कहीं पे भी लीग को ये ऑब्जर्वेशन आती कि कहीं पे अमन को ख़तरा है तो उनका ज़्यादा इन्हिसार किस पे होता, जो उसके सबसे बड़े ताकतवर मेंबर्स थे जिसमें ब्रिटेन और फ्रांस शामिल है. लेकिन बरतानिया और फ्रांस दोनों मदद करने को तैयार नहीं रहते जिसकी वजह से वो मसला हल नहीं होता. इसी तरह ब्रिटेन एंड फ्रांस बोथ अबैंडन द कंसेप्ट ऑफ कलेक्टिव सिक्योरिटी इन फेवर ऑफ अपीसमेंट, जिसका मतलब ये है कि हालांकि लीग ऑफ नेशन का ये एक ख्याल था, उनकी एफर्ट थी कि दुनिया में अमन कायम रहे, इसलिए असले की दौड़ नहीं होनी चाहिए. लेकिन जब हिटलर ने असले की दौड़ शुरू की तो बरतानिया और फ्रांस दोनों खामोश रहे, दोनों चुप रहे क्योंकि उनका रवैया मुसालिहाना था. वो कुछ नहीं कहना चाहते थे, वो जर्मनी के खिलाफ कोई बात नहीं करना चाहते. उनका एटीट्यूड मुसालिहाना था, एक फ्रेंडशिप एटमॉस्फेयर था, लेकिन जिसकी वजह से आखिर में नुकसान हुआ. इसी तरह वन की वीकनेस वाज दैट यूएस नेवर जॉइंड इट. तो जब अमेरिका एक ताकतवर मुल्क होके इसका मेंबर नहीं बना, जिसकी वजह से भी लीग को अपने फैसलों को इन्फोर्स करने में मुश्किलात आती. Representation of the league was often a problem. many of its members never joined or their participation period was very short. So you can see that एक तो रिप्रेजेंटेशन का मसला रहा, क्योंकि जो इसके मेंबर्स थे तो वो वहाँ पे नहीं आते, वो इनकी मीटिंग्स में शामिल नहीं होते, और अगर फ़र्ज़ करें वो शामिल हो भी रहे हैं तो उनका जो ड्यूरेशन ऑफ पीरियड है जिसमें उन्होंने अपनी मौजूदगी शो की, अपनी मौजूदगी का इजहार किया, तो वो टाइम भी बहुत कम है, जिसकी वजह से लीग अपने जो मेंबरान थे उनकी शमूलियत से महरूम रहा। इसी के साथ सम ऑफ द बिग पावर्स आल्सो लेफ्ट लीग ऑफ नेशन एट द एंड, जिसमें आपको जापान नज़र आ रहा है। जापान लेफ्ट लीग ऑफ नेशन इन 1933। इटली भी एक ताकतवर मुल्क था, इट आल्सो लेफ्ट इन 1937। जर्मनी लेफ्ट इन 1933। इसी तरह सोवियत यूनियन वॉज एक्सपेल्ड इन 1939। सो ऑल these powerful countries were out of the League of Nations. As a result, League of Nations was bound to failure. And many members protected their own national interest and were not committed to the League or its goal. So because these members were very self-interested, again the League of Nations failed. In 1920, the Poles captured Vilna and refused to withdraw when the League ordered it to. The League could not stop war when powerful nations were involved. तो जब बड़े ताकत इन्वॉल्व होते तो लीग ऑफ नेशन बेबस दिया, इसलिए अगेन फेल हुआ। Turkey drove the Greek out of Smyrna in 1922. France invaded Rome in 1923 when the Germans did not pay reparations. In 1923, after an Italian general named Telani was murdered in Greece, Italy occupied curfew. Greece asked the League for help, which ordered Mussolini to leave, but the Conference of Ambassadors overruled the League and forced Greece to pay compensation to Italy. So you can see कि conflicts आ रहे हैं, लेकिन लीग ऑफ नेशन उसको हल नहीं कर रही, उसको सॉल्व नहीं कर रही, जिसकी वजह से प्रॉब्लम्स मज़ीद ख़राबतर हो रहे हैं। ILO भी फेल हुई, इंटरनेशनल लेबर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, it could not persuade the member countries to adopt 48-hour week for the laborers, कि मजदूरों के लिए 48 आवर की वीक को नाफिज करें। इसी तरह द लीग आल्सो फेल्ड ऑन डिसआर्मामेंट्स। एज अ कंक्लूजन वी कैन से दैट द लीग ऑफ नेशन वाज सक्सेसफुल इन स्मॉल वेज in 1920s. It's helped in stopping small wars. It helped in improving the lives of people, but it could not do many things as regarding stopping wars and conflicts. It could not defend the Treaty of Versailles. It could not make disarmament very fruitful. It failed to get disarmament. It could not persuade the powerful country to stop fighting. So as a result, there were clashes, there were conflicts. इसके अलावा फिर भी जितने भी member countries थे, they were involved in disarmaments. They were acquiring weapons. While most of them were silent, they were not giving any attention. And these conflicts, because they could not be resolved, as a result, finally resulted in World War II. Let us have a summary of today's lecture. So we started with the League of Nations, and we discussed that League of Nations was made for the purpose of preventing any threat to the world peace and to bring peace and to stop wars. The structure of League of Nations was that it has a secretariat, the Council, General Assembly, and the Permanent Court of International Justice. We discussed the failure and the role of League of Nations, कि कहाँ पे ये बेहतर हुआ, कहाँ पे ये फेल हुआ, इसके मुख्तलिफ जो अचीवमेंट्स थे वो भी हमने डिस्कस किए, इसके हमने फेलियर भी डिस्कस किया। Overall, we are finished with the League of Nations. In the next lecture, we will talk about United Nations. With this, we come to the end of this unit. I hope you understand. I wish you best of luck. Allah Hafiz.